Okay, V1 says it looks like this was deleted on Facebook. Try creating a new broadcast or just remove this destination from the broadcast and re-add. So remove. Okay, well, I don't know why that would be. And then I want to do it over. Okay, save changes. All right, we'll see if this works. Nothing's perfect, so.
Yeah, this is a new to me for sure.
So I think we're on, hopefully. This is the first time that Brett, says live with StreamYard. So my name is Melinda Russell, and I'm the founder of Women's Motorsports Network, the International Women's Motorsports Association, Racing Girls Rock podcast, and the Women's Motorsports Network News Online Magazine. And so I do a podcast. I've done one since 2017, and probably a lot of you who know me have followed and know that I do a podcast. But Brett and I met probably almost 2 years ago now when I was introduced to his daughter who races. Brett and his daughter Adriana and his wife Erin and his son Drake, they all live in Iowa. And I followed her. I did a story on her in the magazine. I recently did a podcast with her. And then last year in August, I was able to go out. Actually, I was out there a couple of times, once in July, once in August, and got to actually watch her race, which was really good. You know, my goal when I meet women through the podcast or however I meet them online, my goal is to always be able to meet them in person and watch them race. And so that was a fun thing to do, even though it was really hot and dirty when I was there. But it was still fun, and they've become like family to me. And so I want to introduce Brett Timmerman. Brett is Adriana's dad, like I said, and he's going to be the co-host here. And he is also in charge of sales at IWMA Nation and the Women's Motorsports Network. So if you or someone you know would like to support what we're doing and become a sponsor or, you know, want to do some kind of advertising with us, we would love for you to do that. And Brett's the guy to talk to. So you can just email sales.iwmanation@gmail.com and you can get a hold of Brett. So Brett, welcome to the show. This is the first night. It's hard to say what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I've never been on a podcast, and now I know exactly how Adriana feels when she has to do this stuff.
Yeah, the good thing is the only people you can see are me and the girl that's going to be our guest. It'd be a lot worse if we were in a room full of people and we had to look out at them. So I always tell the ladies when I do the podcast, it's just like them and me having a conversation, and don't think about how many people are going to listen to it later. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. So one of the things that we want to do, because this is a live show, is each week we're going to broadcast on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, which is where Brett lives in Iowa. And some of the things that we want to do are kind of keep you up to date with some of the things that are happening with women in motorsports. Maybe some young gal just won her first race, or, you know, whatever it might be. And we're going to be keeping track throughout the week of things that have happened with women in motorsports. So again, if you or someone you know is a racer, is a fan of racing, and you see that Sue Jones just won her first race, or she just won the feature at, you know, Kalamazoo Speedway or wherever it might be, send us a note. Let us know what's happening, because we want to recognize and celebrate those women that are doing all those things. And, you know, it doesn't always have to be somebody that wins necessarily. If it's someone that's really improving and showing a passion for the sport, they're just as important to us as the women who win. And so we want to connect and celebrate all women of all ages in any capacity in motorsports. So we're hoping that those of you that are out there listening live or listening at the recording, that you will be our partners and you will let us know who we should be talking about on the show. And then we're going to do some track news. We're going to do some driver spotlights. And then we'll have a weekly guest, or maybe more than one guest. And so we have live chat and comments. You can get on and you can ask questions. You can make a comment. You can say you guys are terrible, you guys are great, whatever you want to say. But we hope you get on and interact with us at some point once we get started here. So one of the things that we're going to do, I do still have my podcast, Racing Girls Rock, but we want this to have a completely different name from that. We want to keep this show and that separate. So we're running a contest. You can think of a great name for this show. It's a live show. I call it a live podcast. It's whatever you want to call it, but we need some name ideas. So if you send your ideas to iwmanation@gmail.com, it's scrolling at the bottom. It'll tell you where to send your suggestion. Then Brett and I are going to look them over. We might share the names with a few other people, get some input, and then we're going to pick a name and a winner for our new show, and then they're going to win a prize. And it's going to be a good prize, but I'm not going to tell you what it is at this point because I'm still working on adding to it. So that's something we want you to be aware of as well. So I kept some notes this week about some people that are doing some things in motorsports that are pretty cool. And so one of them is Beth Peretta. She owns an IndyCar team. She's partnering with Ed Carpenter. They joined forces, and she's not going to be running the Indy 500, which is disappointing to me because I'm going to be there for the first time ever. But she is going to be running 3 NTT IndyCar races. And so I'm excited about that. I've met Beth. She's a wonderful woman, passionate about motorsports, encouraging to all women in motorsports, no matter what kind of race car, race motorcycle, whatever it is they might drive. And so I wanted to share that. And if you want to know more, just Google Beth Peretta Indy Team, and you can find out all about it. And then I wanted to announce, too, that there's a PMH, which I was trying to find what that stood for, and I was having a hard time. But it's called PMH, Powering Diversity Scholarship. And there's a young gal from the United States, Madison Aust, AUST, and she was also chosen to be, a recipient of that scholarship. And if I can find some more information, I will, and I'll share it. But the other 2 were young men from outside of the United States. So I thought that was pretty cool. One of the things that I wanted to share with you, and then I'm going to let Brett take it over here in a minute, is, a lot of race teams, race organizations partner or have a heart for some kind of a charity or organization that they sometimes help raise money for or that they want to promote. And so, Brett and I were talking, and so we've decided that we are going to partner with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. As most of you know, I lost my son to suicide. Brett's lost a couple of people very close to him through suicide. And so we've decided that because our hearts are there and we, having been through that ourselves, we know the pain that it causes, not just when it happens, but long term. And so we don't want any other family or any of you to go through that. So we're going to be partnering with them, promoting them, and hopefully get the word out that there is hope, and you don't need to resort to that there's always somebody there in your corner that cares enough to help. So that's that announcement. And then before we get to Brett, I want to ask you some questions because Brett's a dirt guy. His daughter races dirt. I'm more of an asphalt gal. That's kind of where I grew up watching. That's where my granddaughter's race is, on asphalt. But the Bristol Dirt Race was just last weekend. There's been a lot of conversation about that race. Should it be on dirt? Should they take up one of those Bristol races that are so coveted, cover it with dirt, and run cars that are not meant to run on dirt? What's your thought? Are you there, Brett? What's your thought?
Thought is cars.
They're cutting out. You got to love live stuff, but sometimes we have issues, don't we? All right, I'm gonna take him out, and I'm gonna add him back in, and hopefully we're gonna be able to hear from him here in just a second because, being there we go. Okay, hold on. You're not.
There we go.
Not, there we go. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay. Now we should be good. So, what are your thoughts about the Bristol Dirt Race?
Well, I don't think that the Cup cars should be on dirt. I mean, it was fun for the beginning of the first time they did it. It was neat to watch Cup cars on dirt, but they're just not meant to be on dirt. I know some Cup drivers that I've watched interview, they like it and some don't, but it's not as interesting to watch. It was nostalgic the first time, but just now that it keeps going on, they need to go back to what NASCAR was meant.
Exactly. That's my feeling.
If they want to do a dirt race, get some late models involved, or do something that's meant for dirt.
Or yes, or put the trucks or something on it, and go to a dirt track. Don't take up the Bristol race by covering it with dirt. And so my friend Kelly Crandall does a podcast called the Racing Riders Podcast, and she also writes for Racer.com. And she had a really good story this week. So go to Racer.com and look up Kelly Crandall, and she has some good points about should the Bristol race be on dirt, not dirt. Most of the drivers, especially the ones even that race dirt, Brett, didn't want to be on it. Kyle Larson said we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So I think the public opinion is we've done it. Let's not do it anymore, or find a different venue, or do something different. But enough of the Bristol dirt. And so that's kind of my opinion. If anybody else has an opinion, I'd like to hear it, and why you think it's a good idea. So anyway, so Brett, what have you got on your list of things you want to talk about?
Well, like you said, with this show, we're looking for you don't necessarily have to be a driver in the motorsports. There's plenty of things that women do, and behind the scenes, for instance, a lot of these drivers that travel the world in the dirt side, like World of Outlaws, their wives or moms run the souvenir stand, that is their income. And nobody ever does a story on the wives or the moms. They're kind of hidden behind the scenes, and we need to start making sure that they are known, to the world. It's not just the dads doing stuff. Moms and grandmas and aunts, they're all important sisters. So if you're a female in the motorsports world, we'd love to hear from you. You can send a message, like Melinda said. Just anything, if you're an engineer at a Cup team or an Indy or anything,
live on Facebook,
we'd just love to hear from you. So don't think you just have to be a driver, and don't think that you have to win to reach out to us. You can, if you're doing good in your series, you can always reach out to us, or somebody can reach out to us from that aspect.
Absolutely. So we've got our first comment, Brett. Yay! Benjamin Collins, you win a prize. So if you, when we're off this show, if you'd find me on Facebook and send me your address, I'm going to send you a prize because you're the first one that commented on our new show. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. So yeah, Brett, as a mama, and then as a mom, my son raced, you don't get a lot of recognition, and that wasn't something I really cared that much about, but there, like your wife, Erin, she does so much for your team behind the scenes. And, like we were talking about, sometimes you feel like, or she may even feel like, nobody even knows that she's even a part of the team. And so many women are. My daughter Brandy's the same way. She feeds them all. She gets all the food before the races and makes sure they have drinks and does all those things. And it's important. That's all part of the team, right?
Yeah, for sure. that you brought up my wife, and you know, I'm more of the interactive guy on the social media, and I post a lot of stuff, for Adriana to help her get noticed, and people see me doing that, and they don't bring up, they'll tag me in a comment or tell me that I'm the best dad ever, and it's not just the dads that do stuff. I might be out in the garage working on stuff, but if I need help, Erin, my wife, she jumps in and she'll scrub the tires down, or I mean, she'll wrench on the car too, just as much as I will. It just takes, I just have to have her come out and do it, and she does get everything ready, food wise. We cook at the track a lot, and she buys the groceries for the track and pays our entry, pays the kids' way in. That's her way of participating, on race nights, and her. So we kind of keep our money separate. So she does that, but
Yeah.
I mean, she's a pretty important part to our team, and I'm sure there's a lot of other women that feel just like she does. Like, she feels like she isn't noticed, and we're gonna make that a priority this year, that she gets the recognition she needs, and just like other women out there, we want to make sure they get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. Because from cup all the way down to little quarter midgets, none of those teams could do what they do without the moms, the sisters, the whoever it is, the women in their lives as part of their team. And so, I'm excited about this live show. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be completely different from the podcast. And so Benjamin says he's from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Well, that's awesome, Benjamin. So I am sitting out in Surprise, Arizona, and Brett is in Wapello. Is that right? Wapello, Iowa. So we're all, we can be anywhere in the country, really anywhere in the world, and we can talk about women in motorsports. I just put out some posts to get some new names to contact about writing stories and whatever. So, I put a post on 4 different Facebook pages telling what I am, who I am, and that I'm looking for women to feature. And some of them we may feature on here too, Oh my gosh, Brett, 2 days worth. I've been keeping track of names, say, hey, I need your email. That's all I've done for 2 days is respond to those women. So there's a lot of women out there that are doing racing and doing way more. And we're just going to try to share all about them on this show.
For sure. And people might think it's weird that I'm a guy that is trying to bring women, get women involved in motorsports. But when you have a young daughter that, I never thought about it when I raced. I raced for 20 years. My dad raced, and my mom was a track champion when she raced. So, but you see a whole bunch of women racing. My mom raced against 10 other women back when she got her track championship. But it evolved. My 20 years, I never had to race against a girl that I can remember. So it's growing fast. I mean, the women in motorsports is growing fast, and when you have a young girl that wants to become something in the racing world, I want to help every woman become something in the racing world, because that's how women are dominating right now. They're doing super, super good. I mean, like, I was at a racing banquet. Adriana, my daughter, got her first track championship, and I was sitting there reading the list of the points of who got finished where, and I kept seeing girls and women name at the top, and I'm like, this is pretty awesome. And then come to find out, there was 7 out of the 10 classes that had women champions. So, and it's growing everywhere. I mean, you got people like Taylor Cool that is at Boone Speedway, is a tough track to tame, and she is dominating. And and Taylor Reimers, she's in the USAC midgets, and I was at I-55 last weekend and got to see her pick up a heat win, and she dominated that heat race. But the track got super rough, and she started up front, but she just couldn't handle a lot of people couldn't handle the rough track, and she fell back and finished 5th or 6th. But she is trying to become the first woman in the USAC, or first woman in USAC to win a feature. So she's got that going for her. So, and then
Yeah.
there's just girls. Girls are starting to dominate in the men's world right now, and it's awesome to see.
It really is, and I can just even remember in 2017 when I started the International Women's Motorsports Association. I knew there were a lot of women in motorsports, and there were a lot back then. But the number of women now, or maybe I've just gotten better at finding them, but I don't think so. I think the ranks of the women joining and feeling like they belong at the racetrack just as much as the guys. I ask women that question. I'll say, have you ever been, how are you treated at the racetrack? Do you feel like you're welcome there? And nowadays, it's very rare that I have somebody say, yeah, I don't get treated very good. They try to wreck me or run me off the track. I don't really hear that anymore. We're back in the day, how many years ago, 50 years ago, they wouldn't even let women in the pits, Brett.
Yeah, it's growing. It's awesome to see. It's like in the last 2 years, it has evolved majorly with women. There around here, we did at English Creek. I don't remember how many girls there was when we did that picture with you and Lori, but I think English Creek out of, they have 100 carts a weekend there, and I think 30 of them are women or girls.
There were at least 30 girls in that picture. I'm going to have to dig that out and post that with the link for this, because there were and they were from little tiny girls up to tall girls, all ages. And that was such a fun night. And despite the fact that track's out in the middle of nowhere, it's a great track. It's so fun to watch racing there, and the racing is really good there.
It is.
So it's not that far from Knoxville. If you're going to Knoxville this year for any kind of racing, you should check out the English Creek schedule and go over there one evening and watch the racing there, because those are the up-and-coming stars of tomorrow at tracks like that. And, of course, Millbridge. We all know Millbridge is famous for all of its tracks, and it's got quite a few girls that race there too. But, I love seeing these young gals and the women jump in a car and be like, yep, I'm going to do it. I'm going to race a car I've always wanted to, and tonight's the night.
For sure.
Yeah.
I see you're from Oshkosh. Just a little short story. I've been to Oshkosh probably 10 times. My grandma and grandpa used to take me to the big air show there. So I'm really familiar with Oshkosh. So it's nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and it looks like he knows who our guest is, Chatty Madi. So she's going to come on here with us in a few minutes. But Brent, you posted something about a young gal named Gracie Robbs.
Yeah, so Gracie, I have a friend on Facebook that I met through English Creek. They're from North Carolina. So English Creek gets people from, the Wing Kart Nationals. They get people from North Carolina, Minnesota, Wisconsin, all over the world, California. But even on normal week races, they get people from Minnesota. People drive 8 hours just to come race this track weekly. So it's a really good track. So I met these people there. Their kid won the Nationals last year, raced against my daughter. So I follow her, and she had a post about a girl named Gracie Robbs. And this Wednesday night was Gracie's fourth time, or Tuesday night was Gracie's fourth time ever in a go-kart. And showed up to the track in her clogging. She's a clogger too, and so she showed up to the track right after clogging practice, or there might even have been a deal for clogging, but she was in her uniform, changed from her uniform into her race suit, went and raced, and she started the front row, led most of the race, and then ended up spinning out, and I believe there was 10 carts, and she came back up to finish fourth. And she's 9 years old, fourth time in dirt track racing. Her dad and her grandpa raced, but I mean, she did amazing for being in her cart, for the fourth time. Which Millbridge is one of the toughest tracks to win, to do good at. There's so much competition there. It's stiff. I mean, that's where Kyle Busch spends his Tuesday night with Brexton, is at English Creek. All the Kyle Larson and all them guys race micro sprints there. It's starting to grow. It's so if you're wanting to check out kart racing, English Creek and Millbridge Speedway in North Carolina is a good one to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went on Millbridge just to see how many girls were racing, and I went through the points, which doesn't tell you everything, but that's one way I found out what girls, and I wrote down the names of the girls that were racing. And then, I start seeing names like Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson and Sheldon Creed. And I'm like, man, they're drawing lots of big names to that track. So from little kids to adults, that track is really making a name for itself. And we're going to get some of those gals from Millbridge on and talk to them. And then, English Creek as well. And because I know there's a lot of women, girls that run at those tracks. And we love them, don't we, Brett?
We do. We're hoping to get Adriana to Millbridge this year. We got a lot of people asking us to come out, but the gas prices are making things a little hard right now. And if something changes, we're gonna definitely try to get out there, because it looks like a fun track, and we want to. That's our goal: get Adriana to the best tracks in the world. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so last year was so fun for me because the first time I went to English Creek, I came to watch Adriana, and I didn't realize that Brexton Busch raced there. And so if you don't know me, you know. If you don't know, Kyle Busch is my favorite driver, but I like them all, but he's been my favorite for a long time. I've known Samantha for a while. We have a relationship that we know each other and appreciate that from her. But I get there that night, I'm watching racing, I'm not paying any attention, and then somebody says to me, well, hey, did you know Kyle and Samantha Busch are here? I'm like, no. So then I got to go over and say hi to Samantha, which was fun, Then the next time I came, I knew we were going to be there, but I didn't know Kelly Earnhardt Miller was going to be there with Wyatt. And so then I got a chance to meet her in person. And, we both had been there all day. We weren't looking our best. We were hot and sweaty and whatever. But you know what? She's just a mom. She's a mom at the racetrack, supporting her son, helping him do whatever. And there again, yeah, she's a big name in motorsports, but she's also a mom. And when she's at English Creek or Millbridge, she's a mom.
It's funny you brought them two names up, because as you know, you can see the rowdy cans right here behind me. Kyle Busch, it started, I never was a huge Kyle fan. And after meeting him and talking to him in person, and, he's just a dad, and he talks to you just like your dad. And Adriana fell in love with his product, and so she advertises for him. We don't get nothing. We don't get nothing for it. We like his product. And he gives us some free energy drinks when we see him, and that's all we get. But when you love a product, if any young girls that are listening to this, or anybody, when you love a product, sometimes it's not about getting something in return. You push the product so that they see that you like their product. It's not just trying to get money from them. And you just gotta, that's just part of the game. It's not all about getting money from people. He'll share stuff. He'll tell people about us, and we tell people about him.
Right.
You mentioned was Kelly Earnhardt. Well, I have Kelly's book right here.
Yeah.
So, I told her that I wanted one of her books, and she made it a point she remembered the following week and walked it over to our pits and started talking to us. And, she's a down-to-earth. I've seen her yell at the officials, just like what anybody else would yell at the officials. So it's not, she's a down-to-earth mom at the racetrack, and they're good people. Everybody at the racetrack are good people, so it's nice to have family like that. Yeah,
that's for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, they're good people, and they travel all over and help their kids do what they love to do. So you know what? Why don't we bring our guest on, and then we can kind of finish up if there's anything else we want to talk about when we're done. But I had promised her I'd have her on about 7:30. and we're right on the dot. So I'm going to bring Maddie in. And as I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Maddie. So this is Maddie Schultz. Madeline Schultz is really her name. But I caught wind of her through social media on Facebook because she was doing the Chatty Maddie Racing News. And I think, were you like maybe 16, 17 years old when you started that?
Yeah, I was actually 16 when I started it.
Yeah, so Chatty Maddie, I'm just going to call you Maddie. Maddie, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how did you get started being Chatty Maddie?
Yeah, so I started Chatty Maddie. I had to like adjust my screen. I felt like I was way too close.
Oh.
I was like, wow, here we go. But I started Chatty Maddie Racing News about 3 years ago. I'm 19 now. I started 3 years ago at a local track in my area. It's in Seymour, Wisconsin. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I got an internship there, and I just really liked talking about racing. And I loved, I really looked up to the IRA Sprints announcer, Ray Underwood. And the people like Johnny Gibson, Blake Anderson, like I so looked up to them. My family never was into racing, like into the actual cars. We were just huge fans. Like my dad could recite every World of Outlaw driver. We would watch it on the floor of my living room on our huge tower computer. We take the screen off and put it on the floor kind of deal. But I just really liked talking about racing, and I am still so passionate about the Wisconsin world of dirt track racing. And I got into it, and I posted a couple of videos. I had a corded microphone. I hooked it up to my phone, and I just went to town. A couple videos into my first season, Professional Play Incorporated out of Berlin, Wisconsin, was like, "Yo, we want to sponsor you. You're gonna go places." And I thought they were like, that's crazy. Like I had 3 videos out, and I'm like, whoa, what? This is crazy. This is like a Scotty Field sponsor. Like, what? And they sponsored me. They made sure, and without them, I wouldn't have gotten the good kick. They gave me brand new gear. They provided me with gas money to make it to races. They put me and Dad in really nice shirts. And it's jump started from there. And yeah, it all just started with a phone and a corded microphone kind of deal.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. I want to, you don't have to have the professional equipment. You don't have to wait until you can afford all of that. All you've got to do is just start. Just do it. And somebody's going to take notice. So tell me, what do you do when you go to the racetrack? Who are you looking to interview?
What do I do when I hit the track? So first I get to sign in. With a brand new season coming up, it's good to talk about the off season. And when the off season, when you talk to a dirt track racer, is like, oh, well, we have 3 months to do it, but we did it in 3 weeks kind of deal. So I'm sure, Brett, you relate to that with your off season.
Yep.
And we talk about with our past champions, we get to walk around the pits, kind of hang out. Like you said, the racing family is just so awesome to be around. Between the moms, the racers, the kids of the drivers, we just like to hang out and talk. We take notes on what's going to happen. Like I take notes on who's previously won at this track, how long has it been since this person has won a race and he's been kind of finishing up there, stuff like that. Taking really good, diligent notes from the past or talking to people that have raced in the past, not calling them old or anything, but getting info and relaying it to present day and making interviews short and sweet. You don't want a video that's 20 minutes long. You're going to keep scrolling. You don't want to listen to that. So our interviews consist about 90 seconds. So they are quick, fast, easy, spit it out, and it's great, and it keeps drivers keeping going. Like, they've got so much stuff to do, and it keeps people that want to watch interviews and that want to keep up with the behind-the-scenes stuff, makes it super easy. 90 seconds from their favorite driver, and they're ready to watch them race that night.
Absolutely. And so if somebody wanted to follow you, like, okay, where are they going to go to find out what track you're going to be at? And if they want to follow you, like, see who are you interviewing and listen, because they can't be at the track, where would they go?
Of course. So you can follow me and all the behind-the-scenes stuff with Chatty Maddie. You can see my name right here. That's where you can find it everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The Facebook is where we'll post most of our videos. If you want to do, like, our little quick, like, Chatty Maddie minutes, those are going to be on Twitter and Instagram, just because of how they limit the amount of stuff I get to say.
All right.
Yeah.
And so what about TikTok? Have you done anything with that yet?
Oh, my gosh. I have a personal TikTok. I'm really not that good at it, but I'm going to be working with the IRA and just getting out some other things and maybe we'll have a TikTok.
Okay, I think you'd be really good at TikTok. You're not thinking ahead because TikTok's,
It's huge.
I mean, for racing and people that race, like you said, those little 30, 90-second, one lap around the track or whatever. Racing is such a visual sport that I would think TikTok would be a great venue for most racetracks and drivers.
Yeah, I 100% agree. As somebody who has spent hours upon hours swiping through TikTok, I 100% get that. Brett, are you a TikTok watcher?
I used to be, and I'm so busy that Adriana takes care of all the TikTok stuff now. So, I just actually, I've not met you, but watched your show through Wes. And Adriana is one of Wes's drivers.
Yeah, I recognize the name.
So yeah, it's cool to have you on the show. And, I'm a huge sprint car fan, just like you're a huge sprint car fan. So, and that's what Adriana wants to do. And we help Craig Kenzer. So maybe sometime if you're ever at a World Outlaw show and we're close, maybe we'll run into you.
We should totally plan that out when you guys come to Wisconsin. The World of Outlaws go to Wisconsin. I know you're out of Iowa, you said?
Not that far.
Yeah, Beaver Dam's only about 4.5, 5 hours. We got friends out there that in Wisconsin. So if we're not racing that night that the Outlaws are in Wisconsin, we might try to make a trip there and get to meet you.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be fun. And have Adriana go around with you and catch, watch what you're doing, because you didn't have anybody show you that. You just decided one day you're passionate about it, and, nobody's going to tell a young kid, 16-year-old kid, oh, you can't do that. They're not going to do that. If I was doing it, they'd be like, what are you doing? Get out of here. But they're not going to do that to a kid. And then it just took off like wildfire, didn't it?
Yeah, and actually, I mean, you say that they wouldn't do that. When I started, I had a lot of drivers be like, girl, what are you doing? Like,
really?
Who are you? And I gotta let them know, like, I'm giving them some credit. I'm a wild person. Like, I've got a lot of energy. Like, bottle up rowdy energy and add, like, a lot more to it. Like, that probably would be, and I love rowdy energy.
Yeah.
But it actually was a trial and error with people kind of accepting me and getting into the pits and stuff like that. And with the help of, Out of Game, he's saying, yeah, she's our girl. In the IRA sprints going, she's our girl.
Yeah.
And it really helped out a lot with that. And now today, I mean, I get to say hi and take pictures and hang out with everybody. And it's just so nice to have seen that prosper within these 3 years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And are you in college, Maddie?
I am. I'm a freshman in college.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so what are you studying? What's your long-term goal?
Oh,
do you want to be one of those pit reporters for NASCAR?
It would be the dream come true. I am not an asphalt girl. I am a dirt girl. And if I had the opportunity even just to meet people from NASCAR, awesome, 100%. I do cheer for like Alex Bowman, Christopher Bell, people that have been in the dirt track world.
Yeah.
And if I got the opportunity to meet women reporters from NASCAR, be a dream come true. A goal of mine would be to work for the World of Outlaws, to work for a touring sprint car division, or work for a high-end like Port Royal or Williams Grove or Knoxville and be one of their reporters on a weekly show for Dirt Racing or Flow. Dirt Vision or Flow. But until then, I am at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. I am studying education, and my specialty is ESL. So I will be teaching English to people that the English isn't their first language.
Okay.
But
I
work every day to make Chatty Matty and to make this whole announcing thing possibly a reality and to have that be my big girl job.
So do you know Hannah Rickards?
I do. I've met her. She is such an inspiration. When I go to the World of Outlaws race, I have her Twitter, and we DM occasionally. And when she comes to Wisconsin, we make sure we hang out. I get a lot of tips from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's
because
awesome.
she has a great story, and I don't know if you know her whole story. How she lost a job and she didn't know what she was going to be doing, and the next thing you know, she's working with World of Outlaws, and she absolutely loves it. And what a bright spot for World of Outlaws to have her.
I agree.
And so I'm thinking, there's probably room for two of you at World of Outlaws, and I'd love to see you there. I think that would be awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Maddie, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a job at World of Outlaws. Your energy is, you bring smiles to people's faces, and your energy is just, it makes people happy. So if they don't hire you, I will be really surprised.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, and and the thing is, no matter what job it is you want, you that's what you want to do, which is great. But you have to put yourself out there, don't you?
Yes.
You can't sit back and wait for somebody to come to you, because that's never
Yes.
going to happen. You have to put yourself out there. Your brand is Chatty Maddie. And
Yeah.
I had to stop and think what your last name was, because I only think of you as Chatty Maddie.
Yeah,
But but that's a good lesson for any of those drivers or anybody at all.
Yes.
If there's something you want in life, go after it, and make sure that you are putting yourself out there in a good way, with a smile on your face like you have, and get people to recognize and know who you are, and that's how those jobs come about.
Yeah.
When I've interviewed some of the NASCAR reporters that are women, every one of them have told me building relationships is what got them the job.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily maybe that they were the best reporter out of this list of reporters.
Yeah.
But they had built relationships along the way.
Yes.
And that's what'll get you there.
And that is so important, and I cannot emphasize that enough. If I, at the age of 8 years old, didn't go up to Ray Underwood and go, I want to be just like you someday, like absolutely petrified, because he's so like he's the show. You think of the IRA sprint cars, you think of Ray Underwood, the Mohawk Motor Mouth, and me being able to go up to like Steve Post from Winged Nation and go, I am Chatty Maddie, I'm a huge fan, I listen wherever I can, when I can, your hair is awesome kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like, you got to make those connections, you got to go for it. Wes Irwin, which is the person that me and Brett know, he told me once that you've got to chase your dreams, because dreams won't chase you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I live by. Like, you've got to make those moves, you've got to make those connections, and you've got to just keep going at it, or else you're not going to get anywhere.
Absolutely.
It's hard because I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she wants to be a 16-year-old girl, but she also wants to be a professional World of Outlaw driver, and it's hard to get a young girl to understand the sacrifice that they have to take to do that kind of stuff. Like tonight she's doing 3 different interviews with people.
Yeah.
One's a radio show, one's with a newspaper guy, and the other one was at one of her sponsors. And it took away some of her night, but she understands that she needs to do that stuff, because connections is what it's all. And I have to be a dad sometimes, and be stern and say, hey, you got to do this stuff, but one day she'll realize why dad is being the way, being stern and a manager. Basically, I'm a manager, so
yeah, absolutely. And she's not the only 16-year-old girl that doesn't always get that.
Yeah.
So you're not alone there, Brett. There's a lot of girls that want to go play softball and do this, and they want to race. And so, when I interview, especially the younger girls, I can tell pretty quickly which ones are really going to go somewhere and do something, and which ones are just going to do it for the fun of it. Because they, if you talk to like Randy Meyer's daughters, Megan and it just escaped me. They drag race. Julie Natas, she's a drag racer. Some friends of mine, they'll tell you that in high school they didn't really have a lot of friends. They were at the racetrack every weekend, and the people at the racetrack was their friends. Yep. And their girlfriends were going to parties and going to movies and doing all those things, and they sacrificed all that, and that's why they are where they are today. Erica Enders, all those people, Haley Deegan. There's a whole list that if you really knew what they've sacrificed to get where they are, you'd be surprised. And a lot of those girls don't have a lot of friends in school, because the racing is so important. It takes them away from all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I wish that I had that 16-year-old girl with me when I was 16, because I was that crazy chick that was walking around the pits trying to get drivers to talk to me. So if your daughter needs anything, you let me know. Reach out to me, because I wish I had somebody that would get me.
Yeah.
Get being a girl, I'm in high school, and we're like, oh, well, there's a dance, but I have to race. Now what are we doing? Now there's a popularity contest. but I drive a race car. I'm not in the softball team, you know. In my
Or at
opinion,
prom, you know. What
but-
about
and I
like
told you, what was that?
prom night? You know, I know girls that have gone to the racetrack. My granddaughter, she went and raced on prom night.
Oh, I skipped. I went racing.
And yeah, she went racing on prom night because that was more important.
Which is not to say your daughter can't choose prom or senior
Right.
ball, and that's something she also needs to understand that
Right.
you're like, you know. So if she ever needs anything, I used to be a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I'm 15, so I'm not that much older than her.
Right.
But I got her back, and so does all the women here. I'm sure they've got her back.
I talked to Amy Decker a little bit about Natalie, you know, and I haven't emailed her yet, but I'm like, I need some help with how to do this with a 16-year-old girl, you know, because it's hard on me. It causes strain between us sometimes, and it's hard, you know, to try to get them to understand where we're, you know, she knows she wants to be a professional race car driver, but she don't understand what it takes to get there, and it's hard to make that understanding come about. So, you know, having people like, you know, you, Maddie, and if she will reach out to you, if I can get her to reach out to you, it'd be awesome to have you there as a connection.
Yeah. Yeah, I when I interviewed Maddie, a couple years ago now, you know, I was impressed, Maddie, I'll tell you, because
Thank you.
You saw what you wanted to do and you went for it. And so often, you know, as a younger person, they don't get that they have to put themselves out there and what they have to do to make themselves or get attention, basically. And so that, you know, that company saw you and they're like, oh yeah, we want to sponsor you, and that was pretty cool. So where are you going to be next? What's going on? Where are you going to be this summer?
So my summer is going to be just jam-packed. I am so excited. So I work for the IRA Sprint Cars. It's the 410 touring division of the Midwest kind of area. We mainly run Wisconsin. We're going to travel into Illinois, Iowa, and then now Minnesota area this year. My summer is filled with sprint car racing and occasional dirt bike, flat track racing, which I got into this past off season. I got hired by Flat Out Friday, which is an event that's hosted in Milwaukee, and it's flat track with Dr. Pepper coated asphalt. And these guys haul like 5-second laps on these tracks. And we raced inside a Pfizer Forum where the Bucks play. And I did that twice this off season. So I get to work with them occasionally during the summer this year as well. And possibly being at Road America. We don't know yet. I don't know yet. It's still in the works. But either way, I'm going to go and see the show because of Flat Out Friday. People are going to be there.
And Road America is an amazing track. I've been there. That's a beautiful place to see a race. Yeah.
Absolutely. I went to the NASCAR show there last year as an anniversary present. Oh my gosh, absolutely beautiful racetrack. And it's right down the street actually from Preston Rue, which I hang out with all the time. You can hear the race cars from his backyard. So we got to get out there more often and see the kids race with the go-karts.
Well, and that wouldn't be that far for me to come from Kalamazoo, so that might have to be a destination where we get together some weekend too.
Oh, yeah,
so that would be fun.
Yeah. I think that our IRA comes to 34 Raceway in Burlington,
we rained out there. That was supposed to be our season opener.
That's where I grew up racing. So it's 20 minutes from us. You know, Jeremy Schultz. Do you know Jeremy Schultz?
I was Jeremy Schultz's #1 fan. I still am. Because we had the same last name. Thought that was absolutely nuts. But I have his tail tank and his wing panel in my room. So
I know Jeremy through a girl named Ashley Rabel.
Okay, I do know her too.
So we met her. It's a funny story. We were at the racetrack in Burlington at one of the sprint car shows Jeremy was racing. And my dad was climbing over the bleachers and kicked Ashley right in the head. We didn't know who she was.
Oh, no.
He kicked her in the head, and from then on out, we became friends, and then she's
She's awesome.
She is awesome. So small world that, you know.
Yeah. Awesome. But we make our way down to Illinois again soon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we make it back to Iowa. They're trying to schedule the 34 show, though.
Yeah, right. Illinois, see, that's not that far from me either. So we're gonna have to get together this summer for sure. That's
for sure.
Yeah, awesome. So, Brett, do you have any other questions, or Maddie, do you have anything else you want to share with our listeners tonight?
I came up with a name for the podcast.
Oh, what's your
I am not that creative. I'm also starting a podcast this year. Except we just called it Chatty Matty Racing News. That's all it is. Literally my name, except Racing News. Like, I am not creative. But I was looking at it when I was in the waiting room. So I came up with the Pit Stop podcast with Melinda and Brett. And then I also came up with Let's Talk Racing with Melinda and Brett.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna write those down. I'm gonna write those down and put them in the where we're going to talk about it. We're going to choose one, and so those are both really good suggestions. I like them.
Saying that because she's trying to get me off the show. I've talked.
No, I'm not. I could talk to you for hours because your enthusiasm just makes me smile and makes me happy. And I've had kind of a rough day, I'll be honest. And so you've totally turned that around, and just fun to have you on, Maddie.
I'm so happy you got me on. This is so cool. I love it.
And for the listeners out there, I told her if Brett or one of us can't be on some night, we might have to recruit her to be our fill-in, and she said she would. So I'm putting it out there so we have proof that she said she would fill in for us. Okay.
This is awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. You guys are so fun to talk to. I cannot wait to possibly meet you both this upcoming season. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
Awesome, Maddie. Thank you for taking time being with us, and we'll see you at the racetrack.
Awesome. I'm so excited to see you there.
All right.
See you later, Maddie.
See ya.
Doesn't she just make you she just makes me happy, you know? And she's such a good example for other girls about when you're interviewed or, none of these 1 or 2 word answers, You have to think about your story and how you want to share it and how you want people to listen to you and everything. And so she's a great example for young women. And that's why one of the reasons I wanted to have her on as our first guest, because I knew she'd bring some energy and excitement to a mama and a dad, right?
Sure.
Absolutely.
She found her calling. That's 100% fact right there.
Oh, if she's not working for World of Outlaws or somebody full-time one of these days, I'll be shocked.
World of Outlaws, if you're watching this, check out Chatty Matty.
Yeah, and you know what? They better grab her quick, because if they don't, somebody will. That's for sure. Yeah, for sure. So, Brett,
Benjamin, hold on.
Go ahead.
Benjamin, we see all your comments on here, and my favorite thing to watch race is a sprint car or IMCA stock car. They put on the IMCA stock cars put on the best show that you will ever watch on dirt. Mm-hmm. And then sprint cars, that's always been my passion, but I could never afford to race it. So now my daughter wants to. So we're going to try our best to get her in a sprint car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. You put your dreams out there. And I just heard, I listened to the Today Show in the mornings, and I just heard Savannah Guthrie say, her mother always told her, you have to speak your dreams out loud. If you just think them in your head, okay, that's fine, or you write them down. But if you speak them out loud, even if it's just to yourself, then that makes it more real, and it makes it more likely that it's going to happen. And so speak those dreams out loud, whether it be to yourself, to your dad, to your friend, and just work for them. You're going to get there. And I know Adriana's going to get there. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that.
I ask Adriana every day who's the world's greatest dirt track racer. And it took her a couple answers to figure out that I was trying to get her to say her. And now, if you think that you are the best, you will be the best. You have to think like you are the track champion already.
That's really smart of you, Brett. So when you said that, it made me think of a quote. So I'm a big send-out cards person. I send a lot of cards, and I've been involved in that company in a long time. And a lot of you probably have gotten cards from me with pictures of you on them. And the founder and owner of Send-Out Cards used to say, the story in your mind becomes the story of your life. And that's a great quote to type up, put on your wall, and remember that what you think about comes true.
Yep.
So if you think you're going to be the best, you are going to be the best. If you think you're going to wreck or lose, You probably are. And so think positive, and it's going to come true.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you have anything else tonight, Brett, that you want to share or talk about?
No, I think for the first night, I think it went pretty well, and hopefully, hopefully all you listeners, I don't know how many's on or how many's gonna watch, but we appreciate you taking the time. Well, I know it's a little lengthy for this is our first time. I don't know how long podcasts usually last, but
we'll probably try to do about an hour by the time you have a guest and that. Sometimes a little less, but we'll try not to go over an hour because then it gets a little long. And so we're right almost at the hour mark. So that turned out just perfect.
It did. It was a good first show, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in. And if you're watching this, share it. That's the only way we can get known. And if you enjoy watching us is by sharing. And we'll keep growing. You help us grow, and we'll just keep on growing. So we appreciate everybody.
Absolutely. So we'll be there. We'll be on every Wednesday now at 7 o'clock Eastern, right here on Women's Motorsports Network Facebook page. At some point, we might have our own Facebook page for the podcast, so we'll talk about that, Brett, you and I, at some point. But for now, it's going to be on the Women's Motorsports Network, and that's where you'll find us on Wednesdays at 7. And so we'll share the link, and you can share it with your friends and encourage them to get on and follow us.
For sure. Benjamin, you can message the page, if you have ideas what we can talk about,
Absolutely.
We might not be thinking of the interesting things that you're thinking. So feel free to message us, after this podcast, and we'll gladly message you back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, Brett, well, you have a good rest of the week. I know you're going to do some traveling, and I've got one more week here in sunny, warm Arizona. And then I'm going to be headed back to Michigan, and so I'm going to try to bottle this 88-degree temperatures and bring it back, as well as the sunshine, because I know you're getting a lot of rain.
Yeah, for sure. So send the sunshine our way, will you?
Okay, I'll try. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.